Hey guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time, thank you for stopping by, and if you're returning, welcome back. Welcome to the Grace Tribe. So guys, one of my subscribers asked me why I came to Ghana to do a video on it, so I've decided to finally do the video. I just need to sit down, actually think about it thoroughly, write some prompt questions. So I've got my little journal here, my little diary. By the way, I've got this journal from what you call them, Sump Stationery on Instagram here in Ghana. If you're looking for a journal, they do really cute journals. I picked myself up 2 from them. How cute is this? They're on Instagram, so if you want to get some, I'll put like their Instagram details there. So if you see me looking down from time to time, I'm just reading the prompts. And if I talk a little slower than I usually do, it's because it's easier to then edit. If I make a mistake, I could just cut. So let's get into it. So why did I come to Ghana? I think it's been quite a long time since I've been wanting to relocate to Africa. I lived in Switzerland for 5 years, and I think since I was in Switzerland, which was about like I'd say 7 years ago, I already knew that I wanted to move back to Africa eventually. I'm someone who gets easily affected by the weather. So I felt like I needed to live somewhere where it was really hot most of the time. I just felt like if it was hot outside, I could still deal with life and the troubles of life. I don't know why, but yeah, I realized that the weather really impacted me, and I really needed sunshine for most of the year. So growing up in the UK, so after Switzerland, I moved back to the UK. And growing up in the UK, if you live in the UK, you know that it rains most of the time, right? There's not really any proper seasons. It's mainly rain, and then you get 2 minutes of spring and summer, and then winter, and then you're back into like the rainy grey season all the time. And rain is not so bad because it rains here sometimes and it doesn't feel as bad because it's still warm. Whereas back in the UK, it's really cold, windy and rainy, and then in winter it makes it worse when you have to wake up at like 5 a.m. to go to work, run for the train, and it's super cold, and then you'll finish work and it's already dark. You get back on the train, go back home in the cold, and then still have to make dinner. You've got like what, 4 hours left of your day to make dinner, catch up on whatever, and then go back to sleep and start the wheel again, basically the rat race. So I got pretty tired of that, and I'd been wanting to come to Ghana for a while. I think if things had gone my way, I would have probably been back here in 2019, which is when I started like looking at it into it properly. And whilst I was doing my planning and research, COVID happened, of course. The pandemic, or plandemic as some people call it, that happened, and that kind of delayed me for like a good 2 to 3 years, but it also gave me time to do more planning. I looked at other countries in Africa as well. Actually, I looked at Tanzania at one point, and then figured out it probably won't be the place for me. I looked at French-speaking countries because I'm born in Congo and we speak French there, so I thought it would probably be easy to also move to another French country. As you know, in Congo at the moment, things are not quite stable, so it's not really a place that I'm looking to go to just yet. So I looked at Senegal. I went to Senegal actually. I went to Ivory Coast as well, and then I went to Ghana, all in 2023, to try and figure out which place felt the best. And as soon as I landed at the airport in Ghana, my spirit was like, yes. You know, like you get down, you're like, ah, Tukonya is your that's what my spirit was saying. I could just feel like the ancestors, like I'm being silly. Anyway, yeah, so it was that feeling when everyone asked me, so why did you choose Ghana? I was like, I can't explain it. It's a feeling that you get. So you definitely have to go to places and feel out the vibe for it before you make up your mind. I liked Senegal, and I still think Senegal is probably more pretty, I think, than Ghana. it definitely is like more beautiful to see, and the ocean and just the stuff to do there. But I didn't think, because even though French is like one of my first languages, I think English, because I've grown up in the UK for so long, English is just more easier for me. So I thought Ghana would be an easier place to integrate into first when coming back to Africa. So yeah, it ended up being Ghana, and I came with quite a few projects that I wanted to try out, which I'm still trying to figure out. So I'm giving myself a year, and if everything pans out well, then great, I'll stay here. If not, then I'll have to figure out what to do. Until then, we're still in the now, still in the moment, and tomorrow will take care of itself. So other countries that interest me were also Kenya. So who knows, I might go and visit Kenya, or you know, I don't know. But anyway, that is the reason why I came to Ghana, because I was looking for a country in Africa to settle down into, relocate to, and Ghana seemed like the most sensible place for me to start with. I mean, even the plugs are the same as the UK. They're within the Commonwealth. It's an English-speaking country. It just made sense at the time, and it still does. But yeah, at the time, that's why I went for Ghana. So part of the reason also why I came back to Ghana, or Africa in general, is because I felt like I was on a journey of awakening, a spiritual journey, and self-discovery. So it kind of just led me back to my roots, because I felt like I wanted to be surrounded by people in a place where the majority of the people looked like me. And I don't know, it's just every time I traveled to Africa previously, I had family who lived in South Africa, so I'd go to South Africa a lot, and I always realized that whenever I was in Africa, I felt so much peace and just joy, and I just felt like belonging. I think it's just a sense of belonging, being in a place where, you know, the food and the people it just reminds you of home. I don't know how to explain that feeling, but that was probably one of the other reasons why I chose to come back to the continent. I could have gone to Asia, I could have gone to America, South America, you know, but yeah, my heart was calling me to come back to the motherland, because I felt like I would probably have more to offer here than in any of the other continents. And so I am into like Pan-Africanism, and definitely like things that will encourage the progress on the motherland. So I was just thinking, how can I go back and do my little bit for Mama Africa? So here I am. So the next point on my journal is integration. So integration wise, I found that even though in Ghana people are said to be friendly, I would say they're rather hospitable. There's a difference. There's hospitable and then there's friendly. I wouldn't exactly say they're the most friendliest of people. I would think in Senegal they were more friendly, but I would say that they're hospitable, so they make you feel welcome, you feel safe here. However, I find that actually integrating amongst Ghanaians, like the local ones here, it's quite challenging, to be honest, because you always feel like you're the other that's come from like the West. And so that plays out in a lot of situations. And then just through my experience, everything is my experience, by the way, and everyone's different and everyone has different realities. Two people can be in the same room, in the same place, but have two totally different, separate experiences, because everyone is just different that way. So what I'm experiencing here is I find the Ghanaians, when I try to make friends with them, I find them quite flaky. So when I try to like make plans or whatever, I don't know what will happen, but they won't show up. It won't happen. You just won't hear from them, and you're just like, oh, okay then. So it's a bit weird. Most of the people that I'm hanging out with, they tend not to be other diasporans, even if it's a Ghanaian, but it's a Ghanaian from like the diaspora anyway. So yeah, it's quite interesting. And at the moment, I'm looking for work. I don't know if maybe working in a place might help with the integration, because then you're working together and you're doing stuff together. so you might feel more integrated within the society. But as for now, what I've seen also is that a lot of diasporans tend to like hang out in their own pockets, in their own groups, or even there's even estates that are just for diasporans, which I don't really like that too much, because at the end of the day, if I've moved to a country, I do want to know more about the country, the culture and the people, and like integrate. So yeah, that's a bit of a funny one, that one. So yeah, that's that about integration. Oh, and I think that also learning the language will probably help a lot. So I will at some point start taking Twi lessons. I've seen like there's like language cafes and stuff like that. So I will try to do that. I'm sure that will also help to like make friends. And I think if you can communicate in the local language, it probably helps a lot more. But it also helps so that you know when people are gossiping about you, and also when you go to the market, you don't get duped. Because I think when we go to places, for example, if I try to take like the Trotro, which is their like public bus here, it's like a van, or even if you go to the market, I don't know, for some reason it doesn't matter how I dress, they always know that I'm not from here. I don't even have to open my mouth. And then when I open my mouth, they can also tell that I'm not Ghanaian because I don't have the Ghanaian accent. So yeah. So the next point is expectations versus reality. Oh boy. For this one, I feel like I can go on for like forever. But I feel like when coming here, you should probably put all your expectations aside, because so that you don't get disappointed, and just come with an open mind, so that when things happen, you can kind of just brush it off the shoulder and keep it moving. Whereas when you come with expectations, you can feel a bit let down, because that might not be the reality that you actually experience. So you come here thinking that people will be super helpful, super friendly, and then you get here and actually you find that they're more conservative and quite reserved and stick to themselves. And yes, they can help from time to time, but they might not just really help, or if they do help you, they might expect something in return. So there is I feel like there's so many things when it comes to like expectations versus reality, and for everyone, I feel like the experience will be different according to who you are, how much money you have, and how connected you are. That's one thing that's very important here, is connections. So even if you're like looking for a job or you're trying to do stuff, you will have to go out and network. So if you're like a shy introvert, it might be challenging. So you're gonna have to put yourself out there and basically just go and network and talk to people, because a lot of the things that get done here, it's who you know, job wise, who you know. Even like looking for an apartment, someone always seems to know someone. That's the good thing, that someone always seems to know someone once you start talking to people, and they will get you to someone who can possibly help you out. So that's what happened with my apartment. I spoke to someone who knew someone who knew someone that was an agent at their church, and basically the agent that helped me find this apartment was basically met through that, and that's how I met them. And usually agents know other agents, and once you get here, you speak to like other diasporans, and they will usually have an agent or work with one or can refer you to one. So yeah, connections is what you probably heavily rely on. So the next point is annoying things and corruption level. So corruption wise, because I was born in Congo, I've grown up in an African family, I've always been aware of the corruption, and that's the main reason why a lot of Africans leave Africa anyway, because it kind of feels like despair, where the corruption is so deep. It's like, where do you start to even change the system? Do people even want to change? I don't think people are even ready for the change that they might even want, because they've been so conditioned to live a certain way from generation to generation. It's like, where do you even start with that, is what I feel like when I speak with Uber drivers and just other people. It's like, how do you even change the mentality? Are people ready to do the work that it requires to change a mentality and change strongholds, because they are strongholds? So yeah, that's a whole like other topic in itself. So corruption wise, I feel like it's like any other country in Africa. There's gonna be corruption where you go and ask for the price of something, someone gives you 50 cedis here, you go somewhere else it's 70 cedis, you go elsewhere it's 100 cedis. So there's just like, there's no consistency. It feels kind of lawless sometimes, and it can be. And the thing is, there's like good and bad to that at the same time, because the lawlessness kind of makes you feel at peace in that you can kind of just get on with whatever you want to do. But at the same time, when it's actually required and you need stuff that is regulated, it's not there. So for example, landlords, they're only supposed to charge you 6 months in advance for rent, but over here hardly anyone follows that. Most of the landlords charge you a year to 2 years in advance, and 2 years to me is just super crazy, because who knows where they're going to be in 2 years time. Anything can happen in someone's life within 2 years. And the thing is, even if you paid 2 years and said, well, you know, I plan to leave after 1 year, and then you try and get your money back, most likely you will not get your money back. So what I've noticed here is like, once you give money, it's very rare that you will get it back with anything. So just be careful and think twice before you give money to anything, because the likelihood of you getting it back is very slim. You have to be like lucky, unless you're a very lucky person. You're lucky all the time with everything and everywhere. We pray to always be like that, but the reality is, yeah, that's not everyone's like that. So yeah, I would say just be careful with that. So annoying things that can really irritate you, and I feel like if you hear that diasporans are leaving the continent or leaving Ghana, it's probably because of these little things that accumulate over time and then make someone like just decide to just leave because they're just fed up with the mentality or the attitude. And I think it happens amongst locals, but even more so when you're from abroad, because you kind of just stand out, whether it's the way you speak or the way you dress or just the way you carry yourself. You kind of just stand out. So I don't want to say easy target, because you shouldn't walk around being paranoid, but just be aware that locals are aware that you're not from here. And so because everyone's trying to survive, they will try and make as much money out of you as they can. Sometimes it pisses me off, but at the end of the day, I also understand that they're just trying to survive. So everyone's in like survival mode, and so that it pushes them to not see very far. They only see like, I need food for today, or I need food for tomorrow, so I don't really care how I treat you, or you know, if I inconvenience you, as long as I get my money. It's not very good, but it is shit that happens. So oops. It is stuff that happens. So yeah, there's stuff like, let's say, I know this annoys a lot of diasporans or just people in general. Let's say you eat at a restaurant and the food costs let's just say 65 or 66 Ghana cedis, and you give 70 Ghana cedis, right? And they're supposed to give you like 4 cedis back, right? Because they don't have change, they might not give you that change back. Like, they never really give the change back. And instead of going out of their way, which is good customer service, which almost doesn't exist here also, they'll just tell you we don't have it. They won't go out of their way to look for it. It's very seldom, very rare that they'll actually go out of their way to actually find the right change to give to you, and that can cause arguments. A lot of people get annoyed with that, because it's like, well, if let's say you turn the situation around and I didn't have enough money to pay for the meal that I just had, you wouldn't let me walk out the place. So in return, when someone is giving you money, you should actually come back and ask them, you know, is it okay if I take this change as a tip? Or, I don't have this much money, could you bear with me, I'll try and wait and get the money. But they just keep a change without letting you know, and that has annoyed a lot of people, including myself. And some people are less tolerant than others, so it turns into a really big argument. So that's really bad. It's a bad thing that they do here. I don't know why it's a thing here. Uber cancellations. Ubers will piss you off over here. They just do all kinds of foolery over here. There's just no law with them. So let's say you call an Uber. First of all, they'll ask you where you're going, and if they don't feel like taking you to wherever you live, wherever you're going, because it's too far and they're not bothered, they're not going to take you. So you can end up wasting a good 30 minutes of your time just being cancelled on or redirected to drivers until someone accepts. That's one. The other thing is, even if they accept, until you actually see them in front of you, you just never know what's going to happen, because they can be driving to you and you can wait for a good 10 minutes and they could be 1 minute away and decide that they'll cancel anyway, and meanwhile you've been waiting for 10 minutes, and so you have to wait for another Uber. Meanwhile, the fare that you had also probably goes up and changes. Sometimes it goes down, you could be lucky, but other times it goes up. And so not only have you wasted your time, but now you have to pay even more after your time has been wasted. And stuff like that, it might sound like nothing, but it can get very, very frustrating. Electricity and landlords. The other thing is, yeah, so overall you can get a sense of feeling that no one really cares, and so you just kind of do what you can do and make the best of your day or of your life. And that's like, that can be the sentiment that you can eventually have, because even with the electricity, when I first arrived, the first month I think was very, very tough. I even questioned if I made a mistake, but every other day the light was going off, and I think until you're here and you actually experience it, you don't realize how much it can actually affect you. And it takes some time to get used to, because it's very hot, the aircon doesn't always work, and even if you get a portable fan, you have to make sure that it's always charged. If it's not charged, it'll work for like 20-30 minutes and it's off, and then you're just sitting there at home just sweating and nothing is working. Then let's say if you didn't charge your battery, your phone dies, your laptop dies. So it can really inconvenience you, and you always have to find ways to work around the inconvenience. So yeah, you can kind of feel like, well, the government doesn't care, no one really cares, and no one really even has the fight or the energy to actually demand real change. And if you come with the mentality of, I'm gonna come here and make changes or change the society, just stop, because you'll tire yourself out, and more likely they'll tire you out before you tire them out. So don't do that to yourself. Don't come here thinking that you're gonna start changing stuff here, because it's not gonna happen. And until the local people themselves really want change, like how they're protesting in Kenya, nothing's gonna happen, nothing's gonna change, and it's just going to carry on. And I think that that's why Africa is still in the state that it is in, because people don't really have the energy to fight for serious things, for what's really needed. They don't have the passion, or I think just the energy, because they're just trying to survive. So when you're trying to survive, do you really realistically have the energy to fight for other things? Not really. You're trying to feed yourself and your family. So what else? Landlords, apartments as well, that's another headache. So make sure that when you're coming here, ask for the agents to always send you videos and pictures, so you don't end up wasting your time, because every viewing costs, I think, 100 Ghana cedis, I believe. So what they'll do is, because they're trying to make money and everyone's in survival mode, they'll take you to loads of apartments, because they know that each apartment they will charge you 100 Ghana cedis. So they're making money, even though they know you probably won't like 4 of the apartments, you probably only like 1 of them. So they're wasting your time but also making money from you. Be careful, this is done a lot here. And they don't care. They don't care, they're just trying to survive. So basically, it's good to ask them in advance to send you videos, so that you can be like, no, this I don't like. There's no point for me to pay for an Uber to come and visit places that I don't like, and you know I won't like them, but I'll still have to pay you fees. And that's the same with lands. You also have to pay fees for viewing lands. So yeah, just try as much as possible to avoid making unnecessary expenses as much as possible. And then once you've view the apartment, you've decided that you like a certain apartment, you don't have to negotiate. That's a good thing. You can still negotiate pretty much everything here. So you can negotiate with the landlord, but they tend to want the money up front. They tend to like cash, and they want you to pay up front. And once you've paid, so you need to make sure that you like everything. But even then, they'll still be like, well, you know, only after you've paid, then we'll fix this and we'll fix that, because they're relying on your money to kind of finish some of the work. Don't ask. Don't ask. So yeah, make sure that before you pay the rent, you're at least, let's say, 95% happy with the state of how everything is in the apartment. Because once you've moved in and you've given the money, unless you've got a very good landlord, they'll really take their time to come and fix whatever and do whatever in the house. So you'll send them loads of messages and call them, and they'll be like, yeah, we'll come and fix it, whatever. But meanwhile, they don't care, because you've already given them the money, and that money's not coming back to you. So yeah, just be aware. So by the time this video comes up, it'll probably be 6 months already that I would have been here. So it's a 6 months update. How do I feel about Ghana 6 months in? I still love it. I really love it. I'm really grateful to be here. I still like the peace that I have here, and I feel like I'm still living my best life. However, I feel like Ghana will really like test you. You will definitely grow a lot. If you're someone that likes solitude, I think you'll be fine, because then you won't get sad, or you won't feel like, oh, you know, this person doesn't want to hang out, or this person is busy. And if you're very codependent, you might feel like, oh, I don't have anyone to do stuff with, and then you might feel sad. Whereas if you're someone who likes their own company, or you're very independent, or you don't mind your solitude, you'll be just fine, because you just get up and go, and there's loads of things to do. As long as you have money, that's the main thing over here. As long as you have money, you can really live well, and you can do a lot. You can take yourself out to trips, you can explore a lot. There's so much to explore here. So yeah, I feel like on that side, that's really good. The other thing is, I think people can really not downplay, but basically what's the word that I'm looking for? So in your planning, just make sure you realize that Ghana is very, very, very expensive. Sometimes it can be more expensive than Europe. You go out somewhere and you're like, why am I paying London prices when I'm in Africa, in Ghana especially, where it's not fully developed, but it's trying to behave like a fully developed country. Like, make it make sense. Like, some things just don't make sense. It's upside down and inside out. So yeah, it's very, very expensive. And from talking with several people, I've been told that prices have shot up since like 2019, and it just keeps on going up. And the thing is, it's not very sustainable. So I'm not really sure what is going to happen, to be honest, because it's not, the way it's going, it's not sustainable. And I think that ties into the fact that it's still a very safe place, but apparently crime is slowly going up. And it doesn't surprise me, because at the end of the day, if everything becomes expensive, people don't have jobs, what's next to do? People will become violent. They'll get desperate, because they're now looking for ways to make money quickly so they can survive. So I hope that will be addressed as soon as possible, and things will change. They've got elections at the end of the year. Hopefully the person that they elect can do a better job. I think they're choosing between the lesser of two evils. And so hopefully the new guy will, even though most politicians are there for themselves, they only care about themselves, but hopefully at least this one will try and do something, or act like he's doing something for the people and advancing the country somehow, and mitigate all the damage that has been done so far. Fingers crossed. Yeah, and then the other point that I had was lands and scams. So initially one of my projects involved buying land, because it had to do with accommodation. And I viewed so many lands, maybe like 20 lands so far. A lot of it I've like had to put it on hold because a lot of the times there's scams that are involved, and even if you buy land, if at the beginning there's no scams, issues can arise afterwards. And sometimes it just seems like the price of the land that they're giving you is just exaggerated, and you're just thinking, no, this shouldn't cost this much. And the reason why it costs a lot as well is because there's an agent involved, and the agent is usually working with another agent, and the other agent is usually working with like the landowner. So there's so many people to pay in between, and everyone wants their cut, their commission, that instead of the land costing like £1,000, you end up paying like 2,000 or 3,000 because everyone wants their cut and everyone wants to make a profit. So yeah, it's become very expensive because they obviously know diaspora is coming back, and we're trying to buy land and stuff like that, and it's just become ridiculous. So I've kind of had to put a hold on that and really take my time with it, and possibly try and actually get to know actual landowners. That way it cuts out all the agents and the middle people, and I can go directly to the source and buy land for a more affordable price. So yeah, there's that. And what else is there to touch on? Let me see. Getting treated differently. Oh boy, that's gonna be a thing. So when you come here, just know that, like I said, sometimes you don't even have to open your mouth. I don't know what it is. They see you and they kind of know that you're not Ghanaian, you're not a local. And then even more, it's confirmed even more when they talk to you in Twi and you can't answer. Or if you answer with an accent. So yeah, you do get treated differently. It is a thing that happens, and you might not, they might try and scam you. You might get duped. So just have your wits about you. Be smart, be clever, ask questions, think twice before you act. And that's pretty much the main advice that I can give you. Apart from that, it's a blast, honestly. When you do meet nice, kind-hearted people who are willing to help you, it feels great. It's like the best feeling in the world. Just being out here in the sun, being able to drink the coconut water, and I don't know, it's just a feeling, a beautiful feeling that you get, especially when things are going right. You feel like you're living heaven on earth. But the challenge is that it's challenging to keep that constant, that feeling constant. So yeah, but I feel like if you plan well, you come with loads of money. Loads of money, especially if you're used to a certain type of lifestyle and comfort. Make sure you come with loads of money. That way you don't have to compromise that lifestyle and comfort, and you can just live your best life. Honestly, you really can. And so that's my experience so far. I'll probably do a 1-year update and let you know how things are going then. But in the meantime, if there's any points that I've missed, if you have any questions, please do leave them in the comment section, and I'm more than happy to answer you and help you out, because I watched a lot of these type of videos before I came as much as possible to prepare myself. But I feel like there's only so much preparation you can do, and then the rest is like up to God, I say. And the rest is, when you come here, you will find out, because like I said, everyone's different. Everyone has their own luck and their own blessings, and everyone has their own realities and lessons and things to experience in life, their own path. So yeah, you have to come here and figure that out for yourself. So yeah, I wish everyone the best. And if you're coming here, do let me know if you plan to come here. And yeah, let's see, what else, what other advice do I have? I think I'll probably do a video where I interview other diasporans that have been here longer than me, or just arrived, just to see what advice they can possibly give you. That way you've got a big heads up before you come here, and you're as much prepared as possible before you make the move. Because yeah, it's nice to have as much info as possible before you arrive. So anyway, I hope that this video was useful. I don't want to make it too long, so I'm gonna stop here for now. And like I said, if you have any other questions or suggestions of videos or things that you're curious about, let me know and I'll do a video. So thank you once again for watching and joining the Grace Tribe. If you have subscribed, do subscribe, guys. Subscribe. Why are you not subscribing, guys? I don't understand. Anyway, yeah, just subscribe and I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao.